Welcome back. This is video 2 of E4120. This video is going to cover the basic emulator setup of RSLogix 5000 and some of the different preferences you need to set. So once you have the software up, this is going to be your opening screen. You have several different options. The first one is to open up a project that you've previously worked on. You'll see that they usually pop up right here if they're recent or if you need to bring them from a drive. The next you'll see is the new project. Go ahead and select that. And from there, we're going to want to pay attention to the type. The type of emulator we're going to use in this lab is RSLogix Emulate 5000. However, in the real world, you may need to select a different PLC. We do use 1756 in the hardware in the lab, but we're going to program and test it on the emulator. The next thing you're going to want to do is name your controller. I recommend that you name it something pertinent to what you're doing. For example, if you're doing Lab 2, perhaps you name your controller Lab 2. If you are writing a program to control a assembly line painting rubber ducks, maybe you need to do rubber duck assembly line as your name. For this one, I'm just going to call it Video 2, since this is Video 2. Below that, you can add a description, which can give some more details to other engineers as they come in behind you. You're going to look here at chassis type. Chassis is just the fancy name for backplane, which is going to hold the cards for the controller. We use a 4-slot controller. You can, however, use a larger one. We're going to place this in slot 1 since our backplane is in slot 0. So you're going to go ahead and select OK here. And I have already created this file, so I'm going to create it again. Okay, so this is our main screen. This is where all the magic happens. Along the top, you'll have a selection of menus that drop-down menus that you can edit. We'll go over more of those in later videos. I want to bring your attention to this little box right here called the controller organizer. This is a very important box. This is where you're going to do most of your work. You'll see that you have your tasks, including your main task, your main program, and your main routine. This is also a good place where you can edit your tags for your program. Below that, if you have motion control, you'll go to here to motion groups. This is the add-on instructions. All these things are different types of structures inside of RSLogix that we'll review a little bit more later on. What we're concerned with today, though, is I/O configuration or input-output configuration. As you can see, here's our 1756 backplane that we created, and then here is our controller emulator called Video 2. So I'm going to right-click on the backplane and select New Module. From there, you've got this crazy screen where several thousand modules pop up, but we're going to make it a little simpler for you. Under Module Type Category Filters, uncheck that box, scroll down to Other, and select Generic 1756 Module. Much better. Once you've created that, a box here for configurations is going to pop up. You can give it a name or not give it a name. It's not really that important at this point. Again, in the real world, you will want to give it a control name. Slot is the next most important thing. We are not going to make this in slot 0. If you notice over here, our backplane is in slot 0 and our emulator is in slot 1. So we're going to want to select slot 2 in this case. We could select slot 3 or 4 as well, but we're going to put this in slot 2. The next thing we need to change is the connection parameters. Now, understanding what these connection parameters means is outside of this course. So if you have questions, I may or may not even be able to answer them. So don't ask me yet. But what you're going to want to put in for input is 1 and 2. For output, you're going to put 2 and 1. And for the configuration, you're going to put 16, and you're going to leave the size at 0. Then you're going to select OK. Once you've selected OK, there's a couple more properties we need to edit. Requested packet interval. we're going to change that to 50 milliseconds. And the reason we're doing that is because we're limited by the hardware we have in place. If we were doing it directly to the PLC, we would have a different interval, but that's, again, not important for this course. Go ahead and hit apply and hit OK. Okay, so we are back to the main screen, and the last step here is to communicate to our PLC. So if you go back up here to the top to our menus and to communication, you see we have several different options here, but we're going to select Who Active. Who Active is going to get a pop-up screen here that's going to allow us to look at all the different connections that are connected to our software. In this case, since we are using an emulator, it might give you some intuition that we are going to select the virtual chassis and then the emulator. Of course, I changed the name, so when I go online, this name will actually change to Video 2. This was just a previous test. Click Go Online. All right. And then you're going to want to select Download. And this little warning sign here, if you were programming a live PLC in a plant, this is just to make sure that you took all the hazard conditions into your calculation before you kill somebody on the plant floor. So go ahead and hit download, and it's going to compile this onto your controller. All right, so once you've done that, you're going to want to take your eyes up here to the top left part of the screen. You'll notice there's some green, and then there's a kind of a teal blue. Anything that's green means that it's functioning correctly. The teal blue means it's in programming mode, not in control, or not actually in live mode. So in order to put this live, we're going to want to select this teal blue button and place it in run mode, and then hit yes. So now our program is live to our PLC, although we have not done any programming yet, and we are ready to go. So check out the next video where we will actually build our first program.